Did you see the need for this particular strike?
Well, I cannot say that there was need for it. I guess that unions have, that's a way in which unions put pressure to get what they want. So strike is a legitimate instrument of labor relations. So I am not really condemning ASUU for going on strike. Nobody is saying they cannot go on strike. But the strike force has gone on for too long. 5 months means that all students have lost a semester. Those who are going to NYC have lost it, and so on. So you can have a strike, but what kind of strike do you have? Academics are not trade unions. We are not classified as trade unions. ASUU members are not classified as railway workers or steel workers and so on. We are a special brand of union. Our strategies, our tactics are expected to be different. And so, going on strike for 5 months and being so uncompromising about it, when you know that you have a responsibility to students, responsibility to parents, I think we should have gone for a strike for maybe one month, and insist that we are coming back if we don't do what we want. Not insist that until you do what we want, we'll not go back. That is not the way academic unions do it.
The reason I ask this question is, the reason for this strike was the federal government reneging on its own side of implementing the 2009 agreement. In other words, there have been previous strikes before the 2009 agreement was finally reached, and then it was then breached by the federal government. There was non-implementation aside from 1 or 2 clauses in that particular agreement. And now ASUU is saying until we get commitment that this is going to be done, we will not call off the strike. They are now asking for safeguards, which it would seem have finally been done. I'm just asking if you agreed with them on going on strike in the very first instance. Were we satisfied with the state of our universities?
Well, I agree. There's nothing to disagree with in going on strike. There's nothing. So strike is, as I said, is a legitimate instrument which workers use to pursue their interests. But the point is, if you have an instrument, it doesn't mean that you must use it until you destroy the system for which you are fighting. What's the purpose of keeping universities closed for 5 months? We don't know the cost of that. I think the strike was supposed to tell government, you have not completed. Government did not renege. I do not agree with your language that government reneged on the agreement. Government may have been slow in implementing it. They have implemented certain aspects. Professors like me have pocketed 70 years and are very happy. Many other things have happened. The only 2 major issues are revitalization of the universities and allowances. Unfortunately, those ones have not been paid. They should have put federal government on notice 1 month. Go ahead and complete the implementation of the 2009 agreement, or we'll come back on strike again. It should have been, we will remain on strike until you do it. I thought that is what I find objectionable.
Prof, are you saying that it would have been okay if ASUU had maybe had a negotiation with the government and then called off the strike? Government fails to keep their own portion, their own part of a deal, like they've done now. They've paid the 200 billion naira to an account. Assuming that the federal government didn't do that and ASUU decided to go on strike again, is that what you would have wanted to happen?
Yes. I'm sure that the federal government would not have been responsible not to respond. ASUU always had its direct line of communication with government. They always talk. Most unions always talk to government. And again, one of the things that people do not do too much in this country is to use the informal connections. There's no reason why the president could not have been reached informally by powerful people. When the strike came, everybody went to David Mark, went to Tambua, went to religious leaders. Those are the people that should have been mobilized to prevail on government to do something before another strike breaks out. So I would have preferred that you go on strike 1 week, 2 weeks, and warn them. Next time you go on strike, we will not call it off. All these warning strikes, you can have as many warning strikes as you want. But 5 months, you agree with me, is too long to be away from work and close down universities. I think that hopefully it will not happen again. The 2009 agreements have been fully complied with by the federal government now. I'm sure that the federal government and ASUU themselves will have learned some lessons when they renegotiated the agreement in 2014.
Professor, some people will say that the length of this particular strike is the only reason why the federal government has taken note. If ASUU did not go on strike for this long, because let us keep in mind that this is not the first time ASUU has gone on strike. If ASUU hadn't gone on strike for this long, they most likely would not have gotten the attention that they have gotten right now.
I'm no longer... Yes, I'm not sure that that is something that we can really say yes or no. That is because they stayed away for so long that they could easily have done so also by what I talked about, by this selective strike and cautioning the federal government that they would do so. They will stay on strike if they do not comply with their demands. But let us not go on apportioning blames too much. What is important now is ASUU calling off the strike. The federal government has met its own side, fully implemented the agreement, and so there should be no basis why students should be kept away from the campus for an extra day. We should expect an announcement from the ASUU executive that the strike has been called off. The federal government has paid 200 billion into an account in CBN. If they need to cross-check, let them go. It doesn't take 24 hours to do that. And allowances have been paid in part, and more will be paid when universities meet the documentation for further payment. What we find is that even the university themselves, of which ASUU is a component of the administration, are not providing efficient administration of funds that go to them. So they need to know how to manage these funds. And ASUU has a responsibility in that matter. They need to be stronger in participating in the management of the funds within the university. They are getting this billion. They need to be stronger. They are the ones selecting vice chancellors now. And if there's any inefficiencies in the university, they must be blamed for it.
I think,
but the truth of the matter is that there's some complaint that even the allowances that have been paid that have not been properly distributed or disbursed. And that there's a problem that if any investor that does not disburse properly will not get the subsequent payments. And so they need to go back and be sure that they have done the right thing in order to qualify for the next level. So
Professor Otubanjo, I think we really have to go. I'm sorry to really cut you there. We really have to go. I think you've raised some quite interesting perspective and angles to all of this argument, talking also about management of funds for the university, which we definitely will be looking into. We'd like to thank you so very much for joining us in our Abuja studios, Femi Otubanjo, former executive of